Wondra sits in a jail cell. He is back in Idaho, accused of killing young Michael Vaughan.
You're pure evil. You have no heart. You have no soul.
Wondra is accused of murdering her then 5-year-old son in 2021. Would you think you'll ever get the answer as to why?
No, because there is no answer to why. Why would somebody hurt an innocent little boy? What answer could you give? What answer could you possibly give? How scared was he? Did he ask for me? Did he ask for Tyler?
Stacey Wondra has been charged with first-degree murder and second-degree kidnapping and destruction of evidence.
Michael Monkey Vaughan went missing from his Fruitland neighborhood on July 27, 2021.
This is a criminal investigation.
Now, more than 4 years later, in newly unsealed court documents, Fruitland police named 4 people they believed are involved in Michael's murder. Those 4 names are ones we've heard before.
This is Sarah Wondra. This is Sarah's husband, Stacey Wondra. This is Brandon Shirtliff, Adrian Lucien.
As for what these 4 people have in common, they were all staying at the Wondras' home when Michael disappeared in 2021. That's just half a mile from Michael's home where he was last seen. In the PCA, police pointed to video evidence they say showing Shirtliff walking around the neighborhood. They say Shirtliff helped move Michael's body in a duffel bag temporarily to his mom's home in Kuna before standing guard as they buried him in the Wondras' Fruitland backyard. Stacey Wondra told police the 4 hoped to sell Michael for $10,000 each. He says the idea came from Adrian Lucien. Idaho News 6 is now learning Lucien was arrested and released in Indiana in October for a traffic-related misdemeanor. Sarah Wondra is currently serving time in the Idaho State Prison System for unrelated charges. She is eligible for parole in early 2026.
Karen, is there any connection between the Vaughan family and the home where police had been searching?
No, we've heard this more than once from the family representatives and from the police department that there is no connection between the Vaughan family and the home where this search took place.
As you know, from the time Michael went missing, this has been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, and it remains very active and an ongoing investigation. You can't take one of our most precious citizens from us and ever expect us to stop. During the course of this investigation to date, we received credible information that the remains of Michael Vaughan could be found in the backyard at 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland. As a result, the Fruitland Police Department obtained a search warrant for the residence along with the front and backyards. That search warrant was served on November 11th. It was a Friday. We served that late in the evening. Upon entry, officers encountered Sarah Wondra, one of the known occupants of the home, and Sarah was subsequently arrested based on probable cause that she had knowledge of Michael's death and failed to report that death to law enforcement. The following day, the Fruitland Police Department, joined by the Idaho State Police, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the Fruitland Fire Department, and the Fruitland Public Works Department, began a very methodical excavation of the backyard of the Wondras' home. During that excavation process, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, Mountain States detection dogs deployed multiple certified human remains detection dogs on the property, all of them alerting to the presence of human remains. Ground penetrating radar was also used and deployed, detecting anomalies in the backyard. We completed the excavation of the entire backyard and removed over 250 yards of dirt. Prior to backfilling the yard, the dirt was meticulously sifted for any potential human remains. We did not find Michael's remains. Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Once the excavation was complete, we conducted a thorough search of the Wondras' residence. The search was productive, and additional investigative evidence was recovered and is currently being processed.
An hour's worth of body camera footage showing Stacey Wondra FaceTiming with detectives and directing to where Monkey's body was buried in his backyard.
It's like right under that mound area. It's right under the mound. About where at compared to the trees?
A little like right to the right of the trees area. It should be, it should be a garbage bag.
Okay, what color is the garbage bag?
It would either be white or black. We only had two colors.
Is the duct tape still going to be over his mouth?
It should be.
Okay.
I didn't watch take them off.
Okay.
So you should have everything intact as it was.
He claims he watched the burial happen.
Okay. How far down is Michael?
I don't know how far she actually dug.
And the she he's referring to, that's his wife Sarah, another suspect in the case. Stacey says Adrian, a third suspect, was also there for the burial.
Out of 300 homes, police say canines tracked Michael's scent to the home where Stacey, his wife Sarah, and their two roommates Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucien lived.
As Joe mentioned, a newly released probable cause affidavit filed in June lays out the interviews following Michael's disappearance. Again, during these initial searches, police say canines tracked Michael's scent to the fence line of the home where Stacey Wondra, his wife Sarah, and their two roommates, Brandon Shirtliff and Adrian Lucien, lived. All four of those individuals have been named people of interest in Michael's disappearance. One of Michael's neighbors told police they saw Michael riding a bike outside of the Wondra's home the day that he disappeared. Another neighbor said they saw that same tricycle at the Wondra's home during a garage sale months before Michael disappeared. The Wondras initially denied any involvement, but then in November of 2022, Stacey asked to meet with investigators. The PCA states Stacey claims he was home the night Michael was allegedly abducted and saw Sarah carrying Michael into the house. Stacey allegedly told police it was Adrian's idea to take a child to sell for money, and they would get a $10,000 cut. Stacey claims Sarah told everyone to, quote, follow her lead. Stacey told investigators they took him to Brandon's mother's home in Kuna that night, where they left Michael overnight. Stacey claims the other three returned to Brandon's mom's house the next day and brought Michael back to the Wanderers' home in Fruitland. Stacey told police Michael was not alive, and Sarah and Adrian buried him in the Wanderers' backyard. 2 days after Stacey's interview with police, they executed a search warrant and excavated the Wanderers' backyard. The affidavit says cadaver dogs alerted to the same area where Stacey told detectives Michael's body was buried, but to this day, Michael has not been found.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Today is Saturday, March 7th, 2026. Welcome into Missing PNW Crimes Revisited. My name is Samantha. So glad to see everybody. There's a little bit of change of plans because Brandi and Tyler's testimonies were just put up. So we are going to watch their testimonies instead of going over Stacey's mom's FaceTime, but we will go over that. I'm going to schedule that right after this live. But I thought since it had just went up, I know a lot of people have been asking me about their testimonies. So I thought we could watch that together. Brandi and Tyler both were so nervous yet so strong and courageous. They both are remarkable in the way that they have dealt with everything. It was amazing to be in Fruitland and watch them and see how much they love each other, how much they love their children, their family, their friends, and overall just to see their strength. So it just came out like an hour ago, maybe a little over an hour now. That's what took me so long to hop up here, because I just ran across it and I'm like, you know what? Why not listen to that? They were the first two people in the preliminary trial the first day on March 3rd to give testimony. Tyler went first and then Brandi. So, yeah, since a lot of people have been asking about it, I thought, and a lot of people that have been following this case, they've already kind of watched Stacey and his mom's FaceTime. But like I said, we will go over that again. So just a little bit of change of plans here. Let's say hi to everybody. Thank you, moderators, for coming and being here. Thanks, everybody, for coming, supporting the Vaughan family and Michael Vaughan. Here at Missing PNW, we love the Vaughan family, and we are fighting for justice with Michael's army. We got Chaos Queen in the house. Thank you so much for coming. The Real ICU is here. Thank you so much for coming in, hun. Darlene is in the house. Thank you so much. Oh, goodness. So many people are here. Renee, thank you for coming in. Mama B. Psycho 688, thank you for coming. Glamady is here. Please be kind. Please be aware that Brandi Vaughan, Michael's mother, does come into chat. So please be mindful of that when she is in chat. And, with many cases that I have worked on, sometimes people just talk and give their theories about what they think that happened to Michael, and that's fine. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody is allowed to say things, but just don't say things like, I think he might have been eaten by pigs. You know what I mean? Because we need to be mindful of the parents and be respectful. And you guys would not. I have heard that so many times in these cases about the pigs is what I mean. So anyway, Mick Sporn is in the house all the way from Scotland because Michael's case has reached around the world. Maui Girl is here. Thank you so much for coming in. Pam Fogel is here. Thank you for coming. Criminal Med, thank you for joining tonight. Ashley Higgins, Chaos Queen 770. Oh, that's Chaos Queen. I already said hi. Hair Curlers in Crime has the best name on the YouTube streets. I absolutely love that. Opal is here. I just finished those both. I'm happy to watch again. Yeah, they just came out. So I was like, oh, wow, this has came out already. Past is in the house because we know that they weren't allowed to live stream, but they were allowed to record. So lots of new information is going to come out. And I'm keeping an eye on all of that. I've actually made myself a private playlist of all kinds of the news reports. And I actually met the man from Law and Order that put these videos up, and many other reporters that were there at Stacey Wondra's preliminary hearing. Beverly Lawyer is here. So good to see you. Rowan is in the house. Butterfly Kisses. So glad to have everybody. Missing Persons from around the world. Thank you so much for coming, love. I really appreciate all of my moderators. We got Katie Wilson here. Thank you so much. Chocolate covered pickles. Oh, I love that. I've never tried that. Is it good? Chocolate covered pickle. Thank you so much for coming in. Lots of people new here. I can see Anonanon 8507. Thank you so much for coming in. Cat H is here also under your scars. Thank you so much for being here. Lori Lowe is in the house. Opal always gives a beautiful message. She's sending love and uplifting prayers to the family, friends, and all of you in chat. Much love. Thank you so much for coming in, Opal. We got Don Gladaman. Thank you so much for coming in. Toaster's in the house. Good to see you. Let's see. We got Jen here. Thank you for coming in. All right. True Colors. Court Case Courtney. Thank you for coming. My grandson's birthday party was today. Callie Dime, so good to see you. Melissa Hart, thank you both for coming in. My grandson just turned 5. And as you guys all know, it was a little bit of a rough week being at Stacey Wondra's preliminary hearing, hearing the details, seeing the family go through all of their emotions, going through emotions myself. And I teared up today, giving my grandson hugs. I haven't seen him for over a week. Something just really struck me, just like, wow, he's 5. That's how old Michael was when he was abducted and murdered. And thank goodness he didn't see the tears in my eyes, because he would have been so emotional and asking me what was wrong, but he didn't notice. And I just, it was a moment. I mean, that's just what this case has done to me. And as I'm sitting there giving him loves, I was just thinking to myself, like, gosh, what would I ever do if this were to happen? And Lord knows nobody wants to ever go through this kind of nightmare. I couldn't imagine watching my daughter go through that nightmare, but his age and turning 5 just really got to me today. Allie and Tanks, thank you for coming in. So many people are coming in. Yes, I didn't know that the news was just going to start taking like little clips from the hearing and start putting them up. So I'm really happy to see this information going out so that people can watch it, go over it, talk about it. Not only that, to be able to give some perspective, to be able to add to that content, as far as like last night when we went over the closing arguments. The district attorney would say something, and then I could stop and pause and help people understand why the district attorney was saying the things that he was saying. Neat Noodle, thank you for coming in. Kira Munns, thank you for coming. Let's see. Trish is in the house. Debbie's in the house. Lots of people coming in. And I also found a clip. It's a news clip of Tyler and Vaughan. I saw Brandi do the majority of her interviews. And I also watched this particular interview that they did with like 3 news stations all at once after Stacey Wondra was sent to district court to plead guilty or not guilty, and maybe, just maybe, he knows something else and he will give up the location of Michael if he knows where it's at. And if any of the other 4 suspects are listening, if Stacey Wondra doesn't know where Michael is right now in this unknown location after he was taken from the Wondra's yard and buried somewhere else, you 3 do not have, Sarah, Adrian, Brandon, you don't have much time. Stacey's already flipped. He's flipped on all of you. And if you want the deal, you better talk to law enforcement. You better tell the family and law enforcement where Michael is. If you know, we know Brandon Shirtliff knows for a fact. So tick tock, time is running out. Time is definitely running out. We are here to discuss the case of Michael Joseph Vaughan. He was kidnapped July 27th of 2021. He was then murdered. He went missing from his neighborhood when he wandered away from home to find friends to play with. And it is, it's awful that there were monsters in the neighborhood, predators that were seeking to find and kidnap a child. Stacey Wondra's preliminary hearing was just this last week. He has been charged with first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of evidence. Sarah Wondra will not be a free woman when she's released from prison in October of 2026. There is a warrant for her for when she is released, and she will also be charged with first-degree murder, second-degree kidnapping, and destruction of evidence. Lots of people are asking, why is Adrian and Brandon still walking free? It's very, very difficult for a small county to arrest and then prosecute and go after with charges on 4 suspects all at once. It takes a lot of money and effort. As sad as it is, we want them all off of the streets. They are all monsters. We have heard what they did to Michael Vaughan. It's disgusting. We want justice. We want it now. But we need to take our time. We need to take our time, do this right, because we only got one chance. If they were all arrested and the county couldn't, afford to do what they need to do by representing all of them, giving them free counsel, if they couldn't afford their own counsel, things could go wrong. Things go wrong, and then we lose that one opportunity. So that is the reason why Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff has not been arrested. But I actually foresee Brandon Shirtliff getting arrested, especially after what I heard in court. And I don't know if that will come before or after Sarah Wondra, but he was in that GMC truck with Stacey Wondra. Stacey Wondra was in that truck and driving to Kuna with Sarah, with Brandon, with Michael Vaughan in the bed of the truck. Stacey Wondra himself thought he wasn't going to get away with it, but because of his actions, because of his decisions to not only report that Michael had been abducted, but then to also transport him to Kuna was a huge thing. Huge. And Brandon is also sitting in that truck. So we will see how things are going. Somebody out there knows something, and if you know something, please call in a tip. The telephone number is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. No tip is too big or too small. Let law enforcement decide whether or not the tip is credible. And if you're feeling like it's just information that you have and it's just sitting in the bottom of your gut and it just feels sour and gross and ew and you just want to get it, you just gotta say something, you're feeling like it's just gross, you really need to call and talk to law enforcement and leave a tip. Again, the tip line phone number is 208-642-6006, or you can email findmichael@fruitland.org. Law enforcement has never said that the parents of Michael Joseph Vaughan are guilty of doing anything to their son. Of course, everybody in the house was a suspect when Michael Vaughan first came up missing. But law enforcement has worked with them closely, and at one time spoke with them every single day. I'm sure they are still speaking with law enforcement on a regular basis, especially moving forward now that we know that Stacey Wondra is going to trial. Please call in a tip 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Again, thank you guys all so much for coming in. Please, please, please share Michael. Share Michael's beautiful face everywhere you can. Share everything that's going on right now. There is so much being reported by the news. You can take any of it and put it up on your social media. Let people know that they are going after suspects in Michael Vaughan's case. And Stacey Wondra is the first suspect. So I want to play this first report because this was when Tyler and Brandi heard, it was right after court when they heard that Stacey Wondra was going to trial. It's a great interview. It's almost 7 minutes long. I'm not going to interrupt it at all. Let me just get that up real quick. Here we go.
Think about closing statements today from the prosecution and from the defense.
The prosecution stand by everything he stated and what he said. I don't know very much about the laws, so I'm glad that that's being explained to us as the process is happening. I'm just glad we're going forward in the right direction, and pray that one of them, or maybe even Stacey, has the heart to tell us where Michael is.
Today was emotional. I know for you guys, like listening to the testimony from the detective and watching the videos again. What stands out to you that maybe you didn't know before?
That Michael was given a shot of insulin. Michael's not diabetic, so it would have put him to sleep. So he didn't have to suffer. And that to me is premeditation. So
It's hard to hear what they did to you.
It was hard to hear that he was screaming for me. It was hard to hear that that woman told my baby that I didn't love him anymore. There's special places for people like that. And I believe that's where they're going to go. Justice will be served.
What were your feelings watching Stacey have a conversation with his mother and seeking out, comfort?
I admire that woman for her grace and her kindness and for raising him and trying to do right by him. My heart breaks for her because I know how my mom heart hurts so much. I can't imagine what she's feeling right now. But I respect her and admire her for telling him that he needed to do the right thing. And I think her supporting him helped that a lot. And I am very grateful to her for that.
And one of the voices that we heard in a lot of the videos yesterday was Detective Kelleher. What has your relationship with investigators been up to this point? And seeing all that video, I'm sure it was a mix of emotions.
It explains a lot of trust us, just trust us, and giving them that blind trust has been reassured of what they have been doing and their love for Michael and their love for their jobs to do the right thing. So
And hearing the names of the other three come up so frequently and knowing they haven't been charged, what are your feelings on that?
we're a small community. We're a small town. There are lots of moving parts to Michael's case. And those 4 names have always come up together. It doesn't surprise me hearing those names. And I believe that all 4 of them are going to be punished to the extent of the law. Hopefully one of them will grow a slight bit of consciousness and tell us where Michael is. That's all we want is Michael home. They've done their wrong. Now it's time to pay for it. They've done their damage. Give us back Michael, Joe. Give us back Monkey. That's all we've asked for is from day one. And they sat all this time. I have no empathy for any of them. They deserve what's coming to them.
Do you plan to come to future court proceedings?
Every single one I can possibly make, health permitting.
And Brandi, you, as we talked about yesterday, have had just both of you guys such grace and restraint through this process. I mean, how do you do it?
Each other. And we got an amazing community. Our family is rock solid. The foundation of our family is what keeps us going. And I made a promise to Monkey that I was never going to stop till I find him. It looks different now than when we started. But I still had that promise to keep. So, yeah. Thank you.
Do you guys feel closer today to something?
Yes.
And you had Kira or Pidge.
Pidge, yeah.
When it comes to your other children, Michael's siblings, how are they doing?
They're all dealing it with their own ways. I was very proud of Pidge wanting to be here. And, she's a part of this as much as well. And she's a young adult now. So Mama can't tell her no anymore. But I did, continuously make sure before the day, how are you feeling about this? How is your mental health? Are you sure that you want to do this? Because there's a lot of emotions. And of course, with all of the kids, we've tried to be completely honest and open with everything in the case. Age appropriate, of course, as it has been almost 5 years. And Buggy, Monkey's baby sister, she turned 2. Not even quite a month after Monkey was abducted. And she still asks if he's not alive anymore. And we have to go through that. So, yeah, it's really hard. They're doing well. And anytime they have a question, I'll answer it as best as I can. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Go home and be with them.
Yeah.
It's so heartbreaking. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. Hey, Mama. Mama's in the house. Good to see you. And I saw that somebody said Tyler looks so nervous. They were freezing during that interview. The wind was whipping Thursday, and it was ice cold wind. I'm going through menopause, and I'm hot all the time, but I was freezing Thursday. So, yeah, what an amazing interview. And you hear, their foundation, their family foundation is strong, and it is. I witnessed it, saw it for myself. That family is so very strong. I mean, even as an example, Pidge has been able to graduate high school. She holds 2 jobs. She is eventually going to be coming over here and going to college in Portland. Seeing everybody at the dinner table, the conversation at the dinner table, the love between everybody is there. It's real. It's visible. And, Tyler and Brandi, they love each other so much. They love each other so much. You can see it in their eyes when they look at each other. It's beautiful. They actually remind me a lot of me and my husband, and we've been together for 32 years. So we're going to go over tonight. As I'm seeing new people coming in, there was a little bit of a change of plans. I had planned on showing Stacey Wondra's FaceTime with his mother. A lot of people have already seen that, and just within the last hour or so, footage came out of Brandi and Tyler's testimony from court on March 3rd, the very first day. They were the first witnesses. Tyler the first, Brandi the second, called to the stand on March 3rd of the first day of Stacey's preliminary hearing. So we're just going to listen and talk about it. I don't know if I will be kind of like stopping and going in between or just play it all. I really don't have much to say about their testimony because they're real, they're truthful. So yeah, I know it was. Brandi and Tyler before court that day were both very nervous. Taking the stand, reliving the day that Michael Vaughan, their son, was abducted, and then to later find out all the details that they had lost Michael. Being up on the stand is not easy. You're hoping you don't say something wrong. You're hoping you don't break down and cry. You're hoping you don't look over at Stacey Wondra and stand up and just scream. All of the kinds of emotions going on. And they stayed strong. Brandi sits up there. Her back is straight. She is strong. And you guys will see. I think this is DA and defense. How they try to come after Brandi or how they try to come after Tyler. I'm going to be watching this with you here on this news report for the first time, but I witnessed it myself in court. And you will hear Tyler make a mistake. He says that Michael was wearing a Pokemon shirt. That right there shows you just how nervous Tyler was. He knows for certain that Michael was wearing a Minecraft shirt with lots of little squares and lots of little pictures. And he wore Minecraft shirts and Pokemon shirts. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this. I did have a very long day. I am going to try to make this as short as possible. Not too short, because I don't ever go too short, but I'm going to go ahead and Hair Curlers and Crimes said, I saw Tyler's but haven't seen Brandi's. Tyler did great. He did. He did amazing. He was just they were both so nervous. When, and I don't know if you guys know it, like, I got there Sunday, didn't meet Brandi and Tyler until Monday during the status conference. Brandi was so shaken up. She was shaking all over. This was very difficult for them. So I'm just going to hop right into it. Let's just watch it. Some of you are probably watching this for the first time. Like I said, this just came out. We're going to play Tyler's first since he was the first one called to the stand. Let's see.
in July of 2021, did you have a son living there with you?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Michael Joseph Vaughan.
Okay, and how old was he at that time?
5 years old.
Okay, and did something happen that day that you are going to remember for the rest of your life?
He went missing.
Okay, and so when's the last time you remember?
Can you guys hear this okay? So there's a lot of background noise in the recording. I'm turning it down in my earphones, so I just want to know if you guys can hear it. I did put up the closed caption. Can everybody hear? Let me know, please. Thank you, Rowan. It is a little bit hard, and Tyler also speaks very low. Okay, people are saying they can hear it fine. I'm going to continue.
Seen him that day?
In the living room while I went back to pick up his little sister.
Okay. And so when after you seen him in the living room, do you remember about what time that was that you saw him?
$6:15.
Okay.
6:10.
And then the way you're saying that, is that a rough estimate?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. After you see him in the living room, what did you do? Or what were you doing that?
I was going to wake up his sister.
Okay. And so when did you notice that Michael wasn't in the house?
When I came back in from outside, I had woken up his sister and left her and went outside and came back in, and that's when I noticed he wasn't in the house.
Okay, and do you know about what time you came in and noticed he wasn't there?
Between 6:45 and 7.
Okay, and so what did you do once you realized that he wasn't in the house?
I turned the house upside down, called my wife, and jumped in the van, started driving around the neighborhood.
Okay, and was it normal for Michael to go missing?
He had walked to neighbors on one or two occasions.
Okay, and when he had walked to neighbor's house, was that like a recent event, or had that been a while prior?
Not within the last, both instances within the last year. Maybe the year prior to 2021.
Okay, and in those previous instances, did he come back on his own, or did you have to go out and find him?
We went out and he was already there being brought back, so both little of both.
Okay, and when you say being brought back, is that the neighbors bringing him back? And so on this occasion, on the 27th of July, you mentioned you went out looking for him. So, or you mentioned you tear the house apart and then went out looking for him. Where did you go to look for him?
I drove down to the splash pad and then drove all the way down 8th Street, down into the hay farmer area, down by the river, and then turned around and came back up. And I think I went home and then went out on foot after that.
Okay, and do you remember the time that you got home and then went out on foot? Like, do you remember the time roughly when that transition happened?
It was while I was on the phone with Brandi. It was sometime between 7 and 7:20.
Okay, and so when did you call? And who's Brandi?
Brandy's my wife.
Okay, and was she living there with you at the time?
Yes.
And so about when did you call Brandi?
Shortly after 7 o'clock, maybe 7:20.
Okay, did you call her while you were driving? Or
Yes,
when you got back?
when I left to go drive.
Okay. So after you called Brandi and you went looking on foot, what happened after that?
We came back and the officers were there and we hung out in the front yard for the remainder of the week.
Okay, and when you said, did you notify law enforcement?
Yes, I called the police at around 7:20.
Okay, and you mentioned you hung out for around the rest of the week. Were you waiting to see if you got news of Michael?
We were told to stay in place or whatever, but yes.
All right. Yeah, so that's why I just need the red stamp ones. All right, I'm gonna hand you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 1 and State's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize the person in those photos?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how close in time to when he went missing these pictures were taken?
Right before, within, I think one of them was on his birthday. So a little over a month.
Okay. The state moves to admit Exhibits 1 and 2.
Any objection to that? No objection. All right, States 1 and 2 will be admitted.
Since July 27, 2021, have you seen or heard from Michael?
No.
And has anybody, did you have any prior contact with Mr. Wondra to defend his case?
No.
Okay, and are you familiar at all with the Wondra household? Or at the time that this occurred, were you familiar at all with the Wondra household?
No.
On the day that Michael went missing, do you recall what he was wearing?
I was a Pokemon shirt and like boxer briefs.
And is that what he went outside in?
He was inside the last time I saw him, but if he went outside, that's what he was wearing.
And as far as the shirt goes, how confident are you that it was a Pokemon shirt?
I'm pretty confident it was a Pokemon shirt. As to what was on the Pokemon shirt, it's well, he had several of them.
Is it possible you was wearing a Minecraft shirt?
Oh, it was a Minecraft shirt. 100% was a Minecraft shirt. I'm sorry. It had a lot of those.
Or is Pokemon a child's cartoon?
Yes.
And is Pokemon a child, or is Minecraft a child's game?
Child's game.
Or, I guess maybe it's not.
Right.
No worries, I guess maybe it's not a child's game necessarily. And do you recall specifically the configuration of this?
I do not. I had several characters on it from what I recall.
And I was gonna save this for your wife just in case, but do you remember Michael's birthday?
2016, June 24th.
All right, thank you, Tyler. No further questions.
All right, any questions from the bench?
Mr. Vaughan, I'd like to get a little bit of the lay of the land of the neighborhood. So your address is what again?
911 Southwest 9th Street.
Okay, so in your neighborhood on 9th Street, can you give us kind of the configuration of that neighborhood? There is, and let me ask you a specific question. There is a kind of a major street to the north of 9th Street. What is that street?
To the east of 9th Street would be, what is that? I'm not good with streets.
Where's 8th Street?
8th Street is one street over to the north.
Okay. Now, does 8th Street, is that like a major corridor that separates?
From all the neighborhoods that are off of that main road, yes.
Okay, so your house and 9th Street is on what side of 8th Street?
The west side, or I'm sorry, your question.
Yes, so your house is on 9th Street. 8th Street is in what direction from your house?
To the north.
Okay, so that's what I was getting at. 8th Street is to the north of your house, okay. There is a subdivision on the other side of 8th Street, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that's where the splash pad is?
Yes.
So the splash pad, would it be correct to say that the splash pad is actually part of the subdivision on the other side of 8th Street?
Yes.
Okay. Have you spent time at that splash pad?
Yes.
So you know how it's configured?
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at the major roads kind of surrounding that neighborhood. Is 8th Street a major corridor or does it kind of end?
It's a dead end at the western end.
Okay. And so where it dead ends, is there a dirt road that goes off of 8th Street?
Yes, it drops down in the field.
Okay. And where does that dirt road go?
In the farmland, and not farmland, there's some ponds down there, I think, and haystacks. I haven't done much exploring down there.
You have been down there though?
I drove down to the haystacks and turned around and came back.
Okay. Is that where you get to the river?
It looks like there may be access to the river.
Okay. Have you ever been down to the river there before? No. Never been fishing down there or anything? No. So when you're driving down that dirt road that kind of feeds off of 8th Street, is there a drop off on the right hand side of that dirt road?
Yes.
And where does that drop off into? Is there like a swampy area down there?
Yes.
Okay. And what's on the other side of that swamp? Do you remember?
More land and the river's over there somewhere.
Is I-84 right there as well?
I-84 is also over there.
Okay. Now, so as you're going down that dirt road, to your right is that drop off and kind of the swampy area, right? What's on the left of that dirt road?
Farmland.
Okay. So kind of surrounding your house there on 9th Street, you have 8th Street that runs into that dirt road, and that dirt road goes down to the river, right?
Yes.
And some farmland. Yes. Okay. And on the right is a swampy area, and then across from there is a highway.
Yes.
Okay. And on the left side of that, and kind of right near 9th Street is a big field. Is that accurate?
At the very end of 9th Street is a big field.
Okay. Is that field farmed or is it just wild?
It's farmed.
Okay. And let's go to the splash pad now. So the splash pad is part of that subdivision to the north of your street?
Yes.
Okay. And what is a splash pad?
It's a place for kids to go and play in the water.
Okay. And so there are water features there?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a tunnel from the splash pad that goes under Highway 95?
No. You have to go out of the splash pad in the neighborhood to the east of that, and then off of that it's just a one-street neighborhood, like 9th Street, and off of that is the tunnel that goes to off there. But there's a trail or a pathway that leads from the splash pad to that street to the tunnel.
So you can access from the splash pad, you can go underneath Highway 95 to the other side of Highway 95, right?
It's not an immediate cross, but yeah, I mean, it's accessible.
Okay. Was your son Michael, was the splash pad someplace that you liked to go?
Yeah.
How often would you go there, would you say?
We've been there a dozen times or so.
Would he ever go there alone?
He tried to go there alone once when his brother went there.
How did that go?
Not well. Grandma found him and brought him home and he got in trouble.
Did that happen more than once?
He had wandered off one other time.
So I'd like to go through a little bit of your routine. This is the day that Michael went missing is July 27th, 2021.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
What day of the week was that? Do you remember?
Tuesday.
What is your routine on a typical Tuesday?
I had that day off, so I was spending with the kids.
Do you have every Tuesday off? Or you did it that time?
Did it that time.
Where did you work?
I was at Albertsons.
Tell us what your routine is on your day off. Generally, you don't have to go minute by minute, but
Play with the kids, make them lunch, wait for Brandi to get home, eat dinner, go to bed.
just tell me about Brandi. Where did Brandi work at the time?
Brandi also worked at Albertsons.
Was she working that day?
Yes.
What was her shift?
I don't exactly recall. I'm guessing probably something like 5 to, or probably earlier than that, probably 2 to 8 or something like that.
No, you're saying 2 to 8, 2 in the afternoon to 8 p.m.?
Yeah.
So Brandi would have been home Tuesday morning?
Tuesday morning.
You had other people living in the home, right?
Yes.
And who would they be?
My father.
And your father's name?
Bob Vaughan.
And who else?
Brandi, Ben, and Kira. Ben and Kira, my bonus kids.
And so what's Ben's last name?
Neva, G-H-E-V-O.
And Kira, how do you spell Kira?
K-I-R-A.
And you refer to these as bonus kids. Are these kids of Brandi's from a prior relationship? Okay. And how old are they?
Now or then?
How old are they now?
19 and 15.
Kira's the oldest?
Yes.
Did they live at your home at that time?
Yes.
Were they there that day?
Yes.
All day?
Yes. Kira left after the fact, or during the fact. She left right around the same time that he went missing.
But she was home the rest of the time?
Yes.
Now, when you have Tuesdays off and you're spending, so this is just family time basically?
Yeah.
Spending time with the kids? Okay. So you indicated that the last time you saw Michael was around, what time was it when you went to wake up Michael's sister? And can you refresh my memory, what's her name?
Arya,
How do you spell last name?
Arya.
And how old was Arya at the time?
2.
And what was her nap time?
Whenever she was taking it out.
Okay. So at this particular time, Brandi had already gone to work at about 2.
Or earlier, yeah.
Okay. And Araya was down for a nap. Do you remember the time that she was napping?
It was between 5:30 and 6:30.
And does she have a designated room?
She sleeps in our room, or she slept in our room.
So what time was it, to the best of your recollection, that you went in to wake her up?
6:15, 6:20.
And to the best of your recollection, you think she went down for a nap at about 5:30?
Yes, 5:30.
Can you tell us about what things you did with Michael on that day?
We were playing with his monster trucks. We were looking for all the pieces to one of his, it was like a stadium for all the trucks.
Were you playing with him outside or inside?
Both.
Does he play video games?
Yes.
Was he playing video games?
I don't recall playing video games that day. I know he was on the Switch that day.
So to the best of your recollection, at about 6:15 is when you went in to wake up Arya?
Yes.
And did you see Michael at that time, or did you just assume where he was?
I saw Michael when I went to wake up Arya.
Okay. And where was he exactly?
In the living room.
And what was he doing in the living room at that time?
We were playing with monster trucks.
Was he alone?
Yes, and his brother and sister were in their bedroom.
When you went in to wake up Raya, tell us what that looks like. How much time did that take?
She's not easy to wake up, so I mean, it took a little bit. Did not do it in a way where she was going to get me for the next while. But I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes to wake her up, and then I changed her diaper and ordered pizza.
Okay, so when you are trying to wake up Arya gently, you're in the room with her, and Michael's not there at that time with you.
Right.
To the best of your knowledge, he's still in the living room playing with his trucks.
Yes.
This entire process of waking her up and then ordering pizza, when you order pizza, do you have a cell phone on you and you order the pizza while you're with Arya?
Yes.
So you don't go to anywhere else in the house to order pizza?
No.
And to the best of your recollection, you ordered pizza at what time?
6:30, 6:45.
And so what was the very first time again that you went out into the house and realized you didn't see Michael, didn't know where he was?
I went outside at that point and came back in around 7, and he wasn't in the house.
Now, you say throughout this process, Michael had a proclivity for kind of wandering around the neighborhood, right? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And he liked to play with other kids in the neighborhood?
He didn't have specific playmates in the neighborhood, but he liked to play with other kids.
And so when you realized he wasn't there, did you go and look at some of these other places that you thought he might be?
I drove his splash pad.
Any of the neighbors? Did you check in with any of the neighbors?
Any neighbors that I saw, I asked if they had seen him.
Now, when you say, let me ask this, to the best of your recollection, when did you truly become alarmed?
When I checked the house and he wasn't there and started, when I was on the phone with Brandi, it was pretty alarming.
And that was around 7:20.
Between 7 and 7:20.
What was Brandi's reaction?
She thought he was hiding, and I was, overreacting. And then she got more concerned the more I got concerned.
Did you have multiple conversations and phone calls with her, or was it just?
She was on this phone the whole time with me.
Okay. And about how long were you on the phone with her?
15 to 20 minutes.
When you say you turned the house upside down, what do you mean by that?
Just checked all the rooms, like places that he wouldn't be anyway. My father's room, just the whole house, making sure he wasn't in there. Because he did like to hide from time to time.
And so you turned the house upside down first, and then you called Brandi?
And then I called Brandi and started driving around, yes.
And you had Brandi on the phone with you while you were driving around the neighborhood?
Correct.
And when it became apparent that you couldn't find him in all normal locations, what happened then?
I got off the phone with Brandi and I called the police.
And that's around 7:20?
Around 7:20.
When did Brandi decide to come home?
I think she came home right after I got off the phone with her.
So let's just go over everything real quick. Brandi and Tyler got up that morning. Brandi left to go to work. Tyler didn't have to work that day, so he was at home just hanging out with the kids. He said that Blue and Bubba were there at the house, and that Blue left right around the time that Michael wandered off. Tyler had to go into the bedroom to wake Buggy up. You know, you got to wake the baby up if they're sleeping too long, because then they are not going to wake up and then go back to sleep that night. So this is later in the afternoon. He goes in there, he wakes Buggy up. She was just a baby then, changed her diaper, saw Michael on his way to go do that. Michael was playing with his trucks when he went to go change her butt. He was in there for about 5-10 minutes. He made the phone call to order the pizza while he was in the room with Buggy. And then he came out. He went outside for a few minutes. And then when he went back into the house, he couldn't find Michael. He was searching everywhere, still couldn't find Michael. He says he basically turned the house upside down. He can't find Michael. Now he's calling Brandi. I can't find Michael. She has told him, go look underneath the bed. He likes to hide. She stayed on the phone with him the whole time he was searching for Michael. He leaves the house, gets in the car to go look for Michael. Still has Brandi on the phone. Still can't find Michael. And then makes that final decision to call the police. He hangs up with Brandi. Brandi's coming home. He's calling 911. They cannot find Michael. They are both in a panic. He's not hiding. He's not in the house. Everybody's looking for him. I'm sure they were calling out his name. They can't find Michael. So he had to call 911.
During this period of time, during the day, were you smoking marijuana?
Yes.
And where were you doing that?
In the shop.
How much marijuana do you smoke on an average day?
Average day, maybe a couple of joints.
So, in this period of time, when Aria was sleeping and Michael was playing in the living room, were you smoking marijuana in the garage at that time?
After I had woken up Aria and ordered pizza, I went outside and had finished one and came back.
So he wakes up, Aria changes her butt, orders pizza, goes outside to smoke marijuana. 16 million parents raise their kids while smoking marijuana. Marijuana is legal out of 40 out of 50 states in America. Okay? Idaho's just not one of those states that sells it, but you can go right over the bridge onto Ontario where it is legal and get it. Just because you're smoking marijuana doesn't mean you cannot watch your child. Doesn't mean that Tyler's responsible for Michael wandering off because he was smoking marijuana. To me, in my own personal opinion, it is obvious that while Tyler was in the bedroom changing the baby's diaper and ordering pizza, Michael wanders off because he saw Michael when he went into the bedroom.
I was outside maybe 10 minutes.
When you say finish at 1, what is a 1?
I was smoking a roach of one that I had lit earlier.
And where was Aria when you were smoking this roach?
Inside with her sister.
Okay. And so you woke Aria up and you went to have a smoke. Did you see Michael when you went out of the house and
no.
Have your smoke? But you weren't worried about Michael at that time?
No.
Let's talk about his clothes a little bit. With some jogging of your memory, you realized it was a Minecraft shirt rather than a Pokemon shirt. But you don't really remember the characters that might have been on that Minecraft shirt.
He had several of the Minecraft shirts. I don't remember the specific ones, but in my head, it had a lot of characters on them.
Do you remember the color of the shirt?
I believe it was light blue.
And when you say boxer briefs, to me that's underwear. Was he wearing underwear or were these shorts?
They were underwear, but they were short shorts.
What does that mean?
They were underwear, but they weren't like briefs. They had legs. They had legs that went down.
So would this be considered something that he normally wore?
I mean, usually he has pants on or something, but we're just screwing around. It was very hot outside.
Footwear, what kind of footwear was he wearing that day? Do you remember?
He was barefoot when we were messing around.
What's he usually wear for footwear?
He has a pair of tennis shoes he ends up putting on, and he had just gotten a brand new pair of flip-flops.
So what time was it again that you called law enforcement? To the best of your recollection, it's about the same time you were on the phone with Brandi, right? So it's about 7:20? Okay. And when did they arrive? Do you remember?
Not an exact time. I believe they were there when I showed back up.
And what time did Brandi show up? Do you remember?
It's all kind of a blur. I don't remember exactly when she came in. I think I actually first saw her. I was on foot, like running around.
So let's go through that sequence a little bit. So you get off the phone with her, and she's alarmed enough now that she's going to come home, right?
Yes.
And so she comes home. How do you both work at the same Albertsons?
Yes.
And where is that?
Yeah.
Okay. How long does it take typically to drive from the Albertsons and Fayette to your home?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. So to the best of your recollection, it would have taken Brandi 10 or 15 minutes to get home after you got off the phone with her.
Yes.
So you're talking around 7:45 or so when she got home?
She probably got home sooner than that. but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she probably did get home sooner than that because she has said that, Brandi has said that she drove as fast as she could to get home when she realized that they still were looking for Michael, that, police had been called and everything else.
Who got home? Who arrived at your home first, the police or your wife?
I think they were both there when I came home.
And you were on foot when you came home?
Yes.
And your interactions with police, do you remember who they were?
I believe Anita Toll was the first officer I had interaction with.
And to the best of your recollection, how long did you talk with police when they arrived at your home?
How often?
How long?
How long?
Yeah.
I mean, a long time. I haven't put the whole night.
Now, when police arrived, you told them that you couldn't find Michael, right?
Yes.
Okay. And was Brandi home at that time?
Yes.
And was she talking to them as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after police arrived and Brandi had arrived home, you then left, right? You left the house.
After the police came and everything?
Yes.
I think we both left a couple of times for like minutes.
Where did you go?
Up and down the street.
So this is a fluid situation. You're talking to the police and you're still kind of looking around for
They
Michael.
wanted us to stay there. We didn't go very far. But I mean, up and down the street for sure.
Now, can you imagine your 5-year-old son has gone missing? You don't know where he's at. You've called the police at 7:21. That's when the 911 phone call was made, according to the probable cause affidavit. And you know it's getting dark soon. And now police have asked you not to go anywhere. How many of you are going to sit put? Like, stay put, not search. Yes, you're going to talk to law enforcement. Yes, you're going to give them all the information that they need. Yes, police are going to come back and want to keep questioning you and asking you more questions about your day, where you been, and everything else. But yeah, you're going to want to go outside. You're going to want to walk up and down the street. You're going to want to holler for Michael. You're his parent, letting him know, I'm looking for you, in hopes that he is going to respond to his father, to his mother. How many of you could just sit still? I don't think I could sit still. I don't think. I would be like, okay, if you want to talk to me, you might as well just like take your notes and follow me. And at the same time, still wanting to cooperate, you still want to look for your son. It would be difficult not to for any parent.
So the police instructed you not to go anywhere?
Yes.
And you did go?
I'm not out of like shouting distance. Like, I mean, we were maybe even line of sight, like, honestly.
Okay, so you didn't get in a car?
No.
Drive away?
No.
And so your testimony here is today is that you never went far enough away so you weren't outside of yelling distance or within
Not
line of
after
sight.
we came back home to the house, or that I came back home to the house.
So once the police arrived, you stayed in close proximity?
Yes.
Thanks, sir. No further questions.
Any redirect from the state?
So that was Tyler Vaughan's testimony. And as many of you said, I wouldn't have been able to stay at home. I wouldn't have been able not to look for my child while they were missing. Nothing out of the ordinary there that they wanted to go outside and walk up and down their street, holler for Michael. And I'm sure that, law enforcement allows that to happen. They're his parents. They've got to stop. They got to think about the information that's given to Tyler, given to them by Tyler, by Brandi, Stan, have their communications with other law enforcement agents that have also been talking with both parents. They're comparing notes. They're looking to see if any details are nefarious, not matching, and those kinds of things. So, there's going to be a little bit of time for Tyler or Brandi to walk out, to call for Michael, to look for Michael. Nothing's going on here except for two loving parents trying to find their son. Michael's missing. Tyler did amazing. And just like I said earlier, like, he did say Pokemon, but man, when he was asked, could that have been a Minecraft? He was like, oh yeah, it was a Minecraft. He apologizes to the court. He knows right then and there, duh, I said Pokemon and I meant to say Minecraft. And he was so nervous. He was so nervous before he had to get up on the witness stand. And so, they're looking into the parents. They are. As soon as a child comes up missing, the parents and the family members in the house are suspects. That's typical in every single missing child's case out there, especially the people that were there, that were in the house. And somebody asked, who was watching Buggy while Tyler was smoking outside? His brother and sister were in the house. They were teenagers at the time. I think Bubba was like 11, but Blue was like 14, 15 years old or something like that. You can walk away from your children, especially with siblings in the house, for a few moments. There's nothing to attack there. And it's ridiculous that Tyler does get attacked, even though, like I said, 16 million parents smoke marijuana and watch their kids every day. It was just a normal, typical day. Ink, good to see you. So good to see you. Thank you for coming in. It is a typical day for the Vaughan family in the house up until the moment that Tyler can't find Michael. Nothing happened to Michael under Tyler's watch, except for the fact that Michael wandered off when Tyler went into the bedroom to change the baby's diaper and order pizza. He said he was in there for a total of about 5 or 10 minutes. There were so many people even in chat talking about their children have wandered off before. My daughter's wandered off before. When she was young, she woke up in the morning and walked right out of the house. One of the neighbors came and brought her back. I couldn't believe that she was even capable of unlocking the doors to get out of the house. Okay, so we are going to jump right into Brandi Vaughan's testimony. March 3rd, the first day of Stacey Wondra's preliminary hearing and the second witness that was called to the stand. And let me tell you guys, she's fierce. She's strong. I mean, come on. Just look at the look on her face. You see her multiple times staring down Stacey Wondra. I'm going to take a potty break right after I start this. I'll be right back.
He's my son.
Okay. And there should be an Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2 in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with those pictures?
Yes, I am.
Do you know how old Michael was when those were taken?
right before he turned 5. This was in, I want to say May or.
And when you say this, which picture you're referring to?
This picture.
Okay. And that is,
This is the same. This is the same day.
okay. And is that Stacey's exhibit too?
Yes, that is
Okay. And so I interrupted you. Do you recall when that was taken? Okay. How old was he?
4. He was almost 5.
Okay. And do you remember how long before the 27th that would have been?
Probably about 3 months.
Okay.
2 months, excuse me. 2 months.
And so jumping forward to July 27th, how did your day start?
Got up with Becky, fed her. She was still having drink bottles at the time. And I drove Paige, as Kira, to practice that one. Somewhere around 7:30 a.m. I want to say.
And when you say buggy, is that?
Aria, excuse me.
Okay. And did you go to work that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you get a call from Tyler?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And so, what was the nature of that phone call?
Well, I called at my lunch break. I had 2 phone calls with Tyler that day. So I called around 4 o'clock in the afternoon and said, hi, what are the kids doing? How's the day going? What's for dinner? And then I got received a phone call from him around 7 o'clock.
Okay. And when was your shift supposed to be over?
9.
Okay. And so when you get the call at 7 o'clock, what did he tell you?
That he could not find Michael. He had looked around the house and outside. He was still looking when he called.
Okay. And how did you respond to that phone call?
At the beginning, I told him to go in our bedroom and look under the bed by the wall. There's a spot under there where he likes to hide, because we can't get under there.
Okay, and then, so did you stay on the phone when he
Yes,
answered?
so it was odd for him to call me, so I had a meat coat on, and I just put him in my pocket. I was dealing with a customer at the time that he had called me.
Okay, and there's a couple of things here. What is a meat coat?
It's a long white jacket that you button up. I worked in the meat and seafood department, so it keeps from getting blood on you.
Okay, and when you said you put him in your pocket, you mean you put your phone in your pocket while Tyler was on?
Yes.
Okay, and so, so keep going. So what happens after this?
So I pick up the phone and I ask him, I'm like, hey, and at this time he's screaming Michael's name. And I said, did you find him? He's like, I can't find him anywhere. And he said he was going to he's getting in the vehicle to go look for Michael. And I just I put my phone back in the pocket, finished dealing with the customer. I had another coworker, they seen me, I looked panicked.
So I'm going to have you pause for just one moment here. So, Mr. Tyler Vaughan has remained in the room, which is fine. I guess as a victim, actually, we don't understand him, so that's okay. I'm excluding witnesses, but I presume the state perceives him as a victim.
That's correct, Your Honor. Yeah, both Tyler and Gary.
So never. So just more typically, after a witness is done, I expect them to leave. If they stay in the room, I want to make sure people know it, because they're not going to be subject to be called. So apologize. Go ahead.
You're not. All right. So you, where you left off, you were starting to feel panicked, or you believe you looked panicked?
Yeah, well, I was starting to panic, and I seen another coworker walking in front of the meat counter, and I asked her to go outside and get my coworker that was working in that department with me that night. He was out on break. And when he came in, I told him that Tyler couldn't find Michael. I was in, we had an office right outside of the meat department, and I was in there on the phone with Tyler. He's screaming, and my coworker, he told me, he's like, go, just don't even worry about anything. So I ran, I grabbed my purse from the locker room. I ran into my vehicle and drove as fast as I could to Fruitland.
Okay, so you left work early to go help look for Michael?
Yes.
Okay, and while you were driving to Fruitland, were you still on the phone with Tyler?
Yes.
Okay, and so what happens next? Are you still on the phone with him or do you drive straight to your house?
Yes.
Okay, were you still on the phone with him when you got to the house?
No.
Okay, after you hung up with him, did you call anybody else while you were driving?
My daughter.
Okay, and what was the nature of that conversation?
I was panicked. I told her that Tyler couldn't find Michael, and I asked her if she had seen Michael, and I told her that I needed her home now because we couldn't find Michael. So.
And so then had you finished that conversation by the time you got home?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so what happened next?
I saw Tyler, and I thought he was with an officer, and I asked if he had found him, anybody seen anything, and I took off down to the splash pad. I saw two women down there, and before I even got up to them to ask them if they had seen a little boy, they told me that they had not seen a little boy in resemblance of Michael.
Okay, so did you draw on, or how did you interpret them telling you that before you even asked?
That he either talked to Tyler or a police officer.
Okay. And so after you talked to the ladies at the splash pad, what did you do next?
I went back home. I believe I got out of the vehicle. I was on my phone talking to whoever I could that we couldn't find Michael. I needed help. I needed everybody there to help me look for him.
Did you leave the house at all later, or for the rest of the night?
Yes.
Okay, and where'd you go?
Searching for my son.
Okay. And did you ever locate Michael?
No.
And have you heard from him in any way?
No.
Okay.
It isn't frozen. I didn't turn on my mic. Really? So like I was just saying to myself. Okay. Brandi gets a phone call. She's panicked. She is getting her purse. She's grabbing her coat. She's getting in the car. She's going as fast as she can to get home. Her and Tyler hang up with each other before she gets home. She gets home. She sees Tyler talking with law enforcement. She immediately leaves and goes to the splash pad because I'm assuming that's because Michael has taken off and wandered off to the splash pad before, and he loves the splash pad. They would go there all the time, and he had once tried to follow his brother there. She sees two women there. They're already letting her know we haven't seen a boy, and that is because they have probably spoken to Tyler or have spoken to law enforcement already. She goes back directly to the house where she starts making phone calls in a panic. I need your help. I need you to come help me. Michael's been gone. He's been gone for a while. I need people here now. My son is missing. Please come help us find Michael. Everybody she could possibly call, friends, family, you name it. If the person was in her phone under her contacts, you know Brandi called them. She wanted help. And you're about to see the defense really go after Brandi. She had called Pidge and told her to come home. She wanted Pidge home. And the defense tries to spin that around. Brandi and Tyler both were asked, have you ever heard from or seen Michael since July 27th, 2021? And the answer to that question for both parents was no. They have not seen or heard Michael in 4.5 years.
During the course of the investigation, did law enforcement ask you to cooperate with them in different ways?
Yes.
Okay.
I misspoke. This is still the prosecutor. Sorry about that.
And in one of those ways, did they indicate to you that they intended to use a live scent track dog?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember what they asked you for to help them with that?
Anything that could possibly have saliva or sweat. I gave them one of his shoes and his favorite pillow, his blanket that his daddy got him, and one of his stuffed monkeys.
Okay, so these articles that you gave him, or that, who did you give those articles to?
Law enforcement.
Okay.
The FBI.
Before, well, these articles, had they been, well, do you remember about how, when you gave those things to the FBI?
It was dark. So sometime after 9 that evening.
Okay, was it that same evening that Michael went missing?
Yes.
Okay. And did you wash any of these items or prepare them in any way before you gave them to law enforcement?
No.
And so the shoes, those were Michael's shoes?
Yes.
Or were they shoes that you would wear?
Yes.
Did anybody else wear his shoes?
No.
Okay. And the pillow, did anybody else use his pillow?
Me.
Okay. Was that during this, or before he went missing, would you use this room?
Yes.
Okay.
It was actually mine.
Okay. And so before he went missing, or, well, have you ever gone over to Red Wing Street?
No.
Okay. And have you, and around this time, had you been over the hill by the bluff sign at the end of the street? Had you been over there around this time?
No, not around that time, but been out there a couple of times to go watch the sunset.
Okay, and when you would go out there to watch the sunset, where would you go specifically?
We would walk down the sidewalk on 8th Street, all the way down to the dirt road. We'd sit up on the cliff where it's he owns that street. It's a private property off to the left, and we would sit right there on the cliff.
Okay, do you recall doing that either within the couple weeks following Michael's disappearance or anytime recently leading up to his disappearance?
No.
So here you have the prosecutor asking Brandi about the end of 8th. Well, we know because of the probable cause affidavit that there was a tricycle that was in the bushes on the bluff, and that is at the end of 8th. The attorneys also talked to Tyler about that area when Tyler was talking about the farm, land down below, the freeway, the river, all of those things. That is, they're asking these parents questions about this area, asking if they're familiar with this area or anything else, because they're trying to find out, like, if they had been down towards the bluff where this tricycle was found. And here Brandi is letting them know that was an area where we would go to watch the sunset, but they hadn't been there in a while to watch the sunset. Not before or after Michael was abducted. And you also hear that Brandi gives law enforcement, gives FBI sent articles and stuff to be used to be able, to give to handlers, have at their labs to give to handlers to start being able to work with scent dogs and scent dog handlers.
After, when I was searching for Michael, yes. I'm sorry, could you ask the question again?
When you were searching for Michael, did you go to the end of 8th Street towards the left side?
No, yes, I did, because the sun was setting, so that was around 9 o'clock. Yes, I did.
Okay, and where did you go on that occasion when you were looking for Michael? I didn't get to the bluff because I was told I had to come back because the detective needed to speak with me. Okay, so you walked toward the bluff, but did you?
Yeah.
So where that dirt road goes down, did you go down the dirt road at all?
No.
Okay, did you go over the bluff at all?
No. I went the opposite direction. I went across the highway. Underneath.
Brandi says here in chat, I tried hard to keep my memory straight. My brain likes to reset every minute and 45 seconds. It's a real thing. Sammy can attest to it. I really do have brain damage. She will be talking and she will stop, and she even stares off a little bit for a few moments, seconds or whatever, takes this pause, and then looks at you, kind of shakes her head a little bit like, okay, I'm back. Okay, this is where I was. This is where I'm talking. Okay, I remember. And all of the time that I spent with her in the hours, I probably spent like maybe 6-7 hours with her away from the courtroom. And it does happen. It happens every couple of minutes or so. And it is a real thing for her. But I just like to say, look how healthy she looks. Even with the brain damage that she has and everything else, she's healthy. And as soon as, things settle down and everything else, there are things she's going to be able to do, because I talked to her about her future and her health. Will you be able to take care of the things that are going on now? And she said yes, but, there's a lot going on right now. So when she gets the time, there are things she's going to be able to do. And I'm not specifically talking about her brain injury. I'm talking about the swelling that she goes through from retaining water. So it is definitely a real thing. I did see it, but look at her here. Look at her up on that stand. Look at the look on her face. She is up there. She's strong. I only saw her one time up on the stand, and it was in this moment when she was describing the bluff sign and how she went towards the bluff sign, but then came back when she was searching for Michael because the detectives wanted to talk to her, that she kind of gets a little confused. But she's strong. She's up there. She does wonderful. She doesn't make a mistake.
Okay, is that this evening?
Because there's no mistakes to be made. She's telling the truth. And when you're telling the truth, you're telling the truth.
Yes.
And so were you driving or did you walk?
There was a time I drove down to the splash pad. I left the Jeep there, I believe, and went walking. I went up the hill on 8th Street.
Okay, but are you saying the opposite way from the bluffs?
Yes.
Okay, I see. So not the bluffs, but towards the splash pad?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to this incident, were you familiar at all with Mr. Wondra?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Have you ever interacted with him before, to your knowledge?
No.
And have you ever interacted with Sarah Wondra prior to this incident?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And this was another question that was asked to both parents. Did you know the Wondras? No. Neither of them testified that they knew the Wondras, had ever met the Wondras. No. They did not know the Wondras. There was no connection between Brandi and Tyler to the Wondras.
Did you also help law enforcement with any items for DNA sample?
Yes, I gave them toothbrushes, an issue, the pillow, the blanket, and the monkey. Because things that I gave to law enforcement.
Okay, and did you ever give your DNA to law enforcement?
Oh, yes, we all did.
Okay. And do you recall what form that was in? Like how you did that?
I think we got mouth swabbed.
Everybody in the house was mouth swabbed, even the children. Everybody in the house gave their DNA. Everyone.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination for the defense.
Yes, please. Good morning. So at the time on July 27th, the people that were living in your home were you and your husband, Tyler, correct?
Correct.
Your children, Kira, correct?
Correct.
She was 13 at the time, right?
No.
How old was she at the time? 15, okay. You had Ben, your son.
There are several things that Brandi Vaughan corrects with this defense attorney, and she does it fiercely, and she stares Stacey down. This is the moment where Brandi Vaughan shines.
He was 10 at the time, correct? Okay. And then also there was Michael, who was 5. And then I'm going to butcher her name, Araya, correct? Aria, who was 2 at the time.
She turned 2 after Michael was abducted.
Okay. And then also there was Tyler's father, Robert, also known Bob, who lived at the house, correct?
Correct.
And when you and Tyler were at work, you had a nanny watch after your children, correct?
Correct.
Jennifer Hanna, correct?
Yes.
Bob would never watch the children, correct?
No, not at the time, no.
Okay. Is there a reason that Bob didn't watch the children?
We didn't want to bother him.
Okay. And then Kira, would she ever watch her siblings being 15?
Yes.
Okay. When you and Tyler were, say, out of the house for a date night or going grocery shopping, would Kira watch the children or would Jennifer?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, okay. And then Kira, she would just watch while she was at the house, correct? Watch the children while she was there?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of as a third set of hands?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the 20th.
What, Brandi? I've never heard this. Brandi says that they kept asking her in interrogation if there was anyone else that could be Michael's father. It really fucking pissed me off. What? Why? Why would they ask that? How? I would be so friggin' mad myself. Like, I would be so offended. Like, yeah, that would piss me off. Wow. Did not know that. Wow. Yes. They even cloned all of his electronics, his GPS, everything. He volunteered everything. They had to investigate if it was a custodial thing or a crazy X thing, you know? Wow. Wow. Yeah, that would it would piss me off. I would be so offended. Like, yes, he's the father. How you know? 'Cause you know. How do you not know, right? That's crazy.
7. You last saw Michael around 12 noon, correct?
Correct.
And Michael was 5 at the time, right?
Yes.
And how tall was he?
I'm going to have to rewind here because this is all new to me. The big guy that I tackled in the hallway, the Idaho State policeman, he was the one that asked me those questions. He was also the one that kept me from getting in trouble. What the heck? Girl, I've never heard any of this. You tackled... Oh my gosh, I think I remember when we were at court, you were like, that's the one I tackled. I know who you're talking about. Oh my goodness. That's a whole conversation. That is a whole conversation I would love to have with you. What the hell?
About 3-7. Came out to about right here.
Right, so.
Okay, rewound.
Okay. And then on the 27th, you last saw Michael around 12 noon, correct?
Correct.
And Michael was 5 at the time, right?
Yes.
And how tall was he?
About 3-7. Came out to about right here.
Right, so about here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how much did he weigh?
He was 50 pounds.
50 pounds, okay. So 37, 50 pounds. And when was the last time you went to the doctor with him? How sure are you of that?
He didn't really get sick, so whenever he needed to go, because he was all done with his vaccinations.
But as his mother, you're sure that he, at the time, was 37 and 50 pounds?
Yes.
Okay. Was he still in a car seat at the time?
Booster seat.
Booster seat, okay. So he had graduated past the car seat to the booster seat?
Yes, but he was still in a 5-point. One of the car seats or the booster seats was a 5-point harness, and the other one was lap belt.
Okay, understand. And then let's talk about the living room in your house. At the time, on July 27th, there was a couch, correct?
2 couches, a couch, a love seat, and a recliner.
Okay. And that love seat or the couch was a pull-out sleeper couch, correct?
No.
Was the love seat a sleeper couch?
No.
Okay. But Michael would commonly sleep in the living room.
Yeah, you sleep wherever he fell asleep.
Okay. Because his room was with you and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you can say yes or no, the court reporter.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And when Michael, your outside area, is it fenced in?
Yes.
Okay. And then the shop area, does it have a garage door to it?
Yes.
Okay. And is that garage door typically open, closed? How does that look?
That's typically closed.
Okay. So how Michael would commonly get outside, or anyone would get outside, would be through the front door?
There's the double doors in the dining room, and during the summers, we would use that door to go in and out of the yard.
Okay. And then could you get out of the yard with a fence door, or how would you do that?
There's a door that goes to the garage. That's how you get to the shop in the backyard, is through the garage. So there's an exit door to either or.
Okay. And you could go in and out of the backyard through that door, correct?
Yes.
So you left on the 27th, you left work around 12, correct?
I left my house around 12.
And then you got your shift started at 12:30.
Correct.
You had your lunch break around 4.
Correct.
You commonly check in to make sure everything's going okay, correct?
Every day.
Every day, no matter who's watching the children.
Yes.
Did you talk to Michael at 4?
Yes.
Okay. And then everything was fine, no concerns. And then.
So there's 2 phone calls that day. Brandi calls home, and this was a regular thing. Call, talk to Tyler, see how everything's going at the house, see if the kids are good, talk about dinner, what they're going to be having for dinner, talk about her coming home, just like a bit basic check-in. And, hey, babe, I love you, I'll talk at you later kind of, phone call. And then there was another phone call later that evening when Tyler called Brandi to let her know that he couldn't find Michael.
The next time that you had contact with anyone from your family was around 7 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And you said that was when Tyler said you couldn't find Michael, correct?
Correct.
You kind of took that in stride and said he's probably hiding somewhere, right?
Yes.
You said that he likes to hide, I think you said kind of under a cabinet area?
Underneath the bed.
Underneath the bed, okay. What do you hide anywhere else in the house?
He would hide in the other bedroom, in the closet.
Okay.
And they just, the older 2 kids' this room.
Okay. And then would he ever hide outside? Is this something that he's common to do?
No.
Okay. So just inside the house, he would hide. Is it common for him when he thought he was in trouble that he would hide?
No.
Okay.
I hated that question. It pissed me off. Was it common for him to hide when he was in trouble? And she says no. I don't know why it upset me. It was like, no, Michael just liked to hide. He wasn't hiding because he was in trouble. They do try to spin a lot of things, and they get a lot of things right, and Brandi has to correct them a lot. Like, how did they not know that there were sliding back doors? They assumed that the only way to get out of the front is the front door of their home. If the garage big door would have been open, he could have got out there. Then there's the small door right next to the larger, garage door that folds up there, the front door, the 2 sliding doors in the back of the dining room, and then the other door from the garage that heads out to the backyard. There were several doors in the house. Even I knew that.
Would he play hide and seek with any of the neighborhood kids?
No.
And then once you got this call from Tyler, and you heard the panic in his voice, that's when you decided to go home.
Yes.
When you say the panic in his voice, could you tell that he was under the influence of marijuana?
No.
Okay. Is it common for Tyler to smoke marijuana and watch the children?
Yes.
When you talked to Tyler, you said that you were on the phone for him about 9 minutes.
I didn't say that.
Okay. How long were you on the phone with Tyler?
Probably about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. And then this phone call lasted until you got to the car, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then at that point you called Kira.
Yes.
And you told her that you needed her home.
Yes.
Because she was a trusted person that could help you find Michael, correct?
She is my daughter. I needed to know where all my children were at that moment.
Okay. You also wanted her home so she could help you look for Michael.
I wanted her home so I knew where she was.
Was the goal at any point for her to help look for Michael?
Not by me asking her. By her own free will. She wanted to look for her brother.
Okay. So at some point she went out of the house and she was looking for her brother.
She didn't leave the yard after that.
After she made it home?
Yes.
And she made it home after you made it to the house, correct?
Correct.
Because she was over at a friend's house down the road, right?
Correct. No, not down the road.
Okay.
So she went to a friend's house in Paya. They came and picked her up.
Okay. So it took her about 10-15 minutes to get home.
Yes, correct.
And then you, how fast did you make it home?
I would say about 15, 20 minutes.
Can anybody at all try to help me understand what difference it made to the defense whether or not she had called Pidge, who was 15 years old? So Pidge Blue, she goes by both, by the way, in case those in chat don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Where is the defense going with this? She's 15 years old. If Brandi wanted to call her and ask her to come home to look for Michael, that's perfectly fine. In that neighborhood, it's a little neighborhood. Why couldn't she have came home and helped look for Michael? What difference does it make why Brandi wanted her to come home? But it's obvious Brandi wanted Blue home because she wanted to know where all of her children were. And of her own free will, she decides she wants to look for Michael. But help me understand why the defense wants to go at her so hard about Pidge coming home. How long it took her to come home. I'm not understanding it. It was very aggravating that this defense was trying to make it sound so unnormal for Brandi to want to call her daughter, to have her come home when her brother is missing, when Michael is missing. I just don't get it.
And then when you got home, Tyler was already speaking to a law enforcement officer, correct?
To my recollection, yes.
Did you speak to law enforcement at that point, or did you go out looking?
I was out looking.
Did you go home first, or did you go to the splash pad first?
I went to the splash pad first. No, I went home. Excuse me, I went home. I came home first, and I saw Tyler stop speaking with an officer. And then I drove to the splash pad and got out of the vehicle to talk, because I saw two women there. And when I jumped out, they said, "We haven't seen a little boy." I said, "You haven't seen blue-eyed, blonde-haired little boy anywhere. He hasn't come through here. And they said no. So I jumped back in the Jeep and I went back to the house.
And in this neighborhood that you live in, it was common for you to go to the splash pad.
Brandi says there was a narrative being spun, I could only guess by who, that I had Pidge babysitting all the time, which was not true and was rarely the case. That's all you had to say. We already know this person's giving information to the defense. Throughout the week, we noticed things that were being said and would be like, why would they even ask that? Oh, yeah, because the creator over here is sending information to the defense attorneys. Yeah, that's what's happening, y'all. Talk about inserting yourself into an investigation. This person's gone way too far, and that's why Brandi has asked her to take down over 200 videos of Michael. Just take them all down.
Correct. And Michael has gotten out before and tried to follow his brother to the splash pad.
Correct.
Okay. And has he gotten out of the house and never tried to go to the splash pad other than that one time?
No.
And you said earlier about the bluff area that you went to. Is this before or after you went to the splash pad?
After.
After. Okay. And you said that the sun was setting, so it'd be closer to 9 o'clock.
Correct.
Did law enforcement, did they want you to stay in the yard, or did you go up on your own and look?
I went up on my own and looked, but I did ask when they wanted me to stay within a certain area.
Sure.
Didn't want me to leave the small area where they were.
Okay. In this small area that they were, it's the area that you and your family would kind of be in and around, correct?
Correct.
So the neighborhood where the Red Wing address is, you and your family have never gone to that neighborhood.
Correct.
And the places where you and your family, including Michael, would go would be to the splash pad, right? Would be up and down 8th Street, correct?
Correct.
And then the 8th Street leads to that bluff area, right?
Correct.
And then also 9th Street where you live, and where Michael has at least the one friend at the time, is the only area that y'all would walk around to.
Correct.
When you were walking up and down 9th, you spoke with 2 neighbors, correct?
Correct.
And they had seen Michael around 6:45, 7.
Correct.
And that was on 9th Street, correct?
Yes.
Where they'd seen Michael.
Yes.
This cliff area, or bluff area, there's a drop off next to it. It's an area where you wouldn't want your children to be playing on, correct?
Correct.
It's a dangerous kind of like rocky, hilly area.
Exactly.
Okay. And this is where you have gone with Michael to watch the sunset before.
Correct. Not down that road, just right on the left-hand side of that road. There's a little cliff on the left-hand side of the road that you can look off of.
Okay. And I believe that you were informed law enforcement that Michael, the shoes that were missing from Michael's closet or area were some flip-flops, correct?
Yes.
And these flip-flops, these were new to Michael, correct?
Correct.
He's used to wearing tennis shoes, right?
Yep.
And it was common for him to put the flip-flops on opposite feet, correct?
Yes, he had only had flip-flops for 3 days. He was always still in my flip-flops, so putting on the opposite, it wouldn't fall on his feet.
Okay. So only had the flip-flops for 3 days. So these shoes would be difficult for him to travel far distances, correct? And then Michael, he had a bicycle and a scooter, correct?
Yes.
And those
And Juanita Kelleher also said, you know, detectives have talked to these witnesses. You know, they talk about Michael going down the street, walking, a flip flop falling off his foot, him having to put the flip flops back on. And here, this defense attorney is talking about this dangerous hillside where there's rocks, a cliff type area there off of the bluff. You know, basically confirming this would be a dangerous place for kids. Like, she's accusing Brandi of taking him somewhere dangerous, or like he would go there on his own. And she tells her, well, you know, we sat before that because there is an area there. And by the way, the sunsets are beautiful there. We got to see one night, not fully down, but before we left. Anyway, there is a spot where they would be to watch the sunset, but it wasn't over where that drop off was. That would have been dangerous. Anything the defense can do to try to make these two look like bad parents is what I saw coming from the defense. Even asking her, could you tell that Tyler was smoking marijuana when you called him? And she says, no. How do you know if a person's smoking marijuana when you call them on the phone? Marijuana doesn't really change anything about you. It relaxes you. It's sold to help you sleep. It's in gummies. It's ridiculous that people make such a big deal out about the fact that Tyler was smoking marijuana when millions and millions of people do.
Those were at the house on the 27th after he had left the house, correct? Correct. And the big wheel tricycle, Michael's never owned one of those, correct? On the 27th, law enforcement searched inside of your house, correct?
Yes.
And then they came back on the 28th.
Yes.
Did they search your house at any other point besides the 27th or the 28th?
Yes, and the FBI, or Idaho State Police, I believe. We had signed waivers for them to come and search the home.
Okay. How many times did they come into the home, if you can recall?
On the 27th, or total?
Total.
To search the home, I'd say I can recall 3 times.
Okay. And then the outside of the home, were there any sort of scent dogs, cadaver dogs, tracking dogs that searched the outside of your home?
Yes.
Do you recall how many times that occurred?
No.
Did any of those tracking cadaver scent dogs go inside of your home at all?
Not while I was present.
Okay. And then what about any sort of vehicles that you or Tyler or Bob owned?
Not that I recall everything they needed. I just said, yes, signed everything, whatever they needed or whatever they asked for, we needed to.
Sure. But you don't have any recollection of this happening in your presence?
No.
And just like you hear, Brandi, right then, we did everything we could. We gave them anything, signed anything, did whatever it is that they needed to do, you know, so law enforcement could check them off of their list of suspects, because innocent parents do exactly that. Innocent family members do exactly that. They give their DNA. They do anything. They let them search their home. They let them search outside. Chris Madonna went and met with Tyler, and Tyler even says they cut the water heater open to look for Michael. And these parents, Brandi and Tyler, cooperated and did everything that was asked of them so that they could be checked off the list of suspects. And in the probable cause affidavit, it says that they are not looking at the parents as a person of interest. They're not looking at other neighbors in their part of the subdivision as persons of interest either.
When law enforcement asked you if there was any substances that Michael could have ingested in the home, you told them no, correct? There was marijuana in the home, though.
Not in the home, in the shop. Okay. It was not accessible to any children at all.
So if the marijuana was on a table, visible, that would not be accessible to the children?
No, because they wouldn't be in there while it was out.
Okay. Fair. On the 20 or after the 27th, you.
Wow, I didn't catch that part in court. I'm rewinding. Sorry, y'all. So here the defense attorney is asking that law enforcement asked them if there was anything in the house that Michael could have consumed. I believe that's what that said. And then again goes on to talk about the marijuana and whether or not it had been left out and everything. And of course, Brandi, make sure they know Michael or the other children wouldn't have had access to any of the marijuana. But I did not hear this question in court, so I'm playing it again. I want to hear this part again.
In the shop. Okay. It was not accessible to any children at all.
You told them no, correct? There was marijuana in the home, though. When law enforcement asked you if there was any substances that Michael could have ingested in the home, you told them.
Any substances in the house that Michael could have ingested in the home, you told them no.
No, correct. There was marijuana.
She says correct. And then this attorney says, there was marijuana in the house, though? Really?
One in the home, though.
Not in the.
Do you guys realize how much a child would have to I'm not saying that Michael had access to it, okay? I am saying, do you know how much a child would have to ingest to have any kind of deathly reaction? Or, really, all I could see happening is that the child would fall asleep. Maybe if it upset their stomach, get sick. But yeah, what's the point of this line of questioning? I did not hear this in court. I did not hear this part in court. I don't know where my mind was, and I was probably still pissed off about some other things that the defense said. But wow, let's just try. Oh, wow. But there was marijuana in the house, though? Wow. Come on.
Home in the shop. It was not accessible to any children at all.
Not accessible to any children at all, Brandi says. Yeah, it could not have caused death.
So if the marijuana was on a table, visible, that would not be accessible to the children.
If it was on a table or visible, that it would not be accessible to the children. And Brandi fires back.
No, because they wouldn't be in there while it was out.
No, because they wouldn't be in there while it was out. The kids, what did this defense not hear? The kids did not have accessibility to the marijuana. Not that it would have caused death anyway. For F's sakes, really?
On the 20 or after the 27th, you led a significant effort of handing out missing posters, correct?
Correct.
You started that on the 28th, right?
Actually, Jennifer Hanna brought she had 100 flyers made, and they were actually donated.
Okay.
She brought those on the 28th.
Okay. But you started handing those out to the neighbors on the 28th, correct? And this included going over to the subdivision off of 8th Street, correct? Correct. So you would walk up and down everyone's house and give a flyer if someone was home, correct?
Or put it in an envelope, yes. Or leave it in a door.
And so that was from the 28th up until mid-August. What time frame did you stop handing out flyers?
Current date.
But sure. But
When was the last time you were out handing out flyers? I love this answer. Current date. I have not stopped. There's no big deal about parents walking the entire neighborhood, everywhere close by, leaving flyers on their door, leaving flyers in their mailbox, handing out flyers as you're seeing people in the neighborhood. Nothing nefarious going on here. To current date, she says. I love it. She advocates so hard for Michael.
the week after, you were doing an effort of walking the neighborhood door to door, handing out those flyers.
When I could, yes. Most of our time was spent with FBI, Idaho State Police, the Fairfield Police Department, Fayette County Sheriffs. That's who we were spending our time with.
Okay. But when you were not spending time with them, you were handing out those flyers.
Yes.
And you mentioned for the DNA portion that you provided police, FBI, and sort of law enforcement agency a shoe, correct?
Correct.
A pillow.
Correct.
And no one's used the shoe, but you've used the pillow, correct?
Correct.
You said that used to be your pillow.
Mm-hmm.
And that you gave them a blanket, correct?
Correct.
Other people in your household had used the blanket.
No, not that one.
And then a stuffed monkey.
Correct.
And did anyone else in the house use that stuffed monkey?
No.
And then you also provided a toothbrush, correct?
Correct.
And other people in the house had used that toothbrush.
His little sister.
Okay.
Aria.
And did law enforcement collect DNA from Aria?
Law enforcement collected DNA from all of us.
So even Aria?
Correct.
No, Stacey did not get on those answers.
Speaking about Tyler and marijuana use, was there ever a point where you would be uncomfortable with him watching Michael after he'd used marijuana?
No.
And you weren't concerned that he was smoking marijuana and watching your children?
No.
I was too,
What about
Brandi.
alcohol use?
Tyler really doesn't drink. It's never, he even drink like if we go on a date or something. Or have a couple of beers on a hot summer day. Not much.
What bothers me is yes, defense attorneys do, things. They go out, people that they're talking to and everything else. But this is what gets me, okay? Law enforcement has found no evidence that points at Brandi and Tyler. There's nothing. And in this line of questioning, one of the reasons why it is so frustrating is because of the rumors that are spread by a certain creator. The same creator that gave these attorneys information. So they're running with these ridiculous ideas from this creator, which is ridiculous to me as far as why would they do that? I don't understand it. Conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff, like I don't get it. I'm sorry, because it is drama, but this is fact. This is what's happening. Brandi and I talked about it with each other, how many times we noticed that something that this creator has spun in her own narrative, the defense attorney is using, talking about, or something's being said, and we're like, oh yeah, we know where that came from. It's the truth. So now it's part of it. So me talking about it, it is not drama, because we're seeing it, and it's gross. Fully inserted themselves into this.
And was there ever a time where when Tyler was watching Michael that he could not find him before?
No.
Okay. So this is the first time that you've had to come home to assist with finding?
Yes.
Okay. And has law enforcement ever been called before to assist with finding Michael?
No.
And then just to confirm, the last time you saw or have heard from Michael is on the 27th. Thank you.
Okay, are you familiar with Michael Vaughan?
So there you have both Tyler and Brandi on the witness stand. And, you know, like I said, it was really just a typical day all day long until Michael wandered off. And it is hard to watch because we love Brandi, the defense going after her. We know why they're giving like their line of questioning and stuff. It just makes my stomach sick because I know where some of that came from. But how can you put two parents up on the stand that have been, you know, they've been told these parents aren't a person of interest. They're not suspects. One of the suspects is their client. It's gross and disgusting to see it. It just really is. Brandi and the family shouldn't be worried about what she's doing. But Mama stood strong while she was up there. Dad was strong when he was up there. He's so soft-spoken anyway. Like when you're talking to him, he's Tyler is a very, very quiet person. They didn't know the Wondras. They didn't know people that knew the Wondras. They didn't know the Wondras in any way, shape, or form. So that was those were the first two testimonies of March 3rd, 2026, the very first day of the preliminary hearing. I'm just reading things in chat. Yeah. Karma is going to get her. Yep. I don't say the nasty creator's name here. She's not worth my time. The only reason I'm even mentioning her now is because some of those questions that the Vaughan family was questioned on came from her. Information she provided to them. It's gross. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to show up to hear about Michael's story. And here we are, the beginning of justice. Much love, everybody. We love you, hun. You are welcome, Paz. Thank everybody for coming in. I really do appreciate you all. We've been here for about 2.5 hours. Thank you guys for coming in, for listening, for supporting the Vaughan family. Please continue to pray for justice. Please continue to pray for Brandi and her health, and for Tyler, and just, yeah, all the prayers. all the prayers. I will not be live tomorrow. I really, really, really need to take a day break, and I am going to be doing that tomorrow. I have meal prepping that I have to do for the week. I have grocery shopping I need to do because my husband ate all the food in the house. And yeah, all the life things, and I need a break. I need a day break, and I'm going to take it tomorrow. I will be back on Monday, and maybe I'll go over Stacey Wondra's FaceTime then, or if something else pops up, I will, Mama. I'm tired. I am gonna rest it up. Or if something much bigger than that comes up. I mean, there's so much to talk about, you guys. There really is. There's so much to talk about, and we will get to all of it. I don't care how many lives it takes. We're doing it here at Missing PNW. If it takes months, I want to go out. I've already made a huge playlist of news reports, and I have only heard a few of them. While me and my daughter were staying on our Airbnb, she was listening to a lot of them, and I just had her sending them to me. So I've collected a lot. I wanted to watch them all for the first time with everybody here. You know, like I said, one of the first lives that I did, raw, genuine feelings. I'm giving it. That's what I'm giving you guys, because this has really, this has been very emotional for the Vaughan family. It was very emotional for me and my daughter to go down. Like I said earlier, my grandson's turning 5 soon. It really hit hard today, and it really hit my daughter hard while we were there because her daughter is 5. So you can only imagine how that can affect you. Or when you're sitting there, watching this family suffer, knowing that their 5-year-old is gone, and you have 5-year-olds in your family. It's hard. It's difficult. Ink, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You are doing an amazing job, Sam. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that very much. Gemini, thank you for coming in, hun. So many people here that are new. And the real deal, I'm not going to give you anything false, fake. I check, double check, triple check my work. I have wonderful resources, and even more resources now that I've gone to Fruitland, including news, you name it. Like, I have a lot more resources. And I think I'm going to do a live for you guys and have my daughter come up on panel. My moderator, Shannon, and I'm going to talk to a few other people that were there, have them come up and talk to you guys, how they know the Vaughan family, how this affected them. What was going on in your life when you heard about Michael? Did they help? Were they there for the family? Did they search? Did they do those things? And then my daughter's perspective, because my daughter knew about the case. She didn't, because I talked to her about it, but she didn't know all the ins and outs and all the details, because, I've done lives, hours and hours and hours of lives on Michael Vaughan. So she actually didn't even want me talking about specifics on the way to Fruitland, because she says, I want to look at everything with fresh eyes. And so that's what she did. And when I get to that, I don't know, but I have many, many ideas for future lives. One of them going through just a ton of the news reports. And yeah, we'll see if we start getting little bits and pieces and snippets of Stacey Wondra's confession that he says He was interrogated to the point of a false confession. I cannot unsee it now. They were feeding him, hugging him, telling him they would be there for him 100%, that they would, just tell us where Michael is, tell us what you know. There was no yelling, there was no screaming, there was no bullying, there was nothing. And then right after that, he goes in and gets on a FaceTime with his mom when there's no law enforcement there at all or nothing, and confesses to her. Is that, he's not being interrogated by his mom, y'all. That's right. I really wanted to go over that too. So lots and lots of stuff. And yes, under your scars, you're correct. He called law enforcement. He called law enforcement twice to come talk to him. And then the third time is when they actually, that was the recording that we ended up watching, was this over 9 hours, and they're reading him his rights. He is signing documents stating that he understands his rights. He could have asked for an attorney. The attorney would have told him probably shouldn't talk about it, but that's not what Stacey did. He said, I want the same deal that Sarah got, because he's doing this in November, and according to Sarah's probable cause affidavit, Sarah spoke to law enforcement just a month prior to Stacey Wondra wanting to talk to law enforcement when he gave them the tip that Michael had been buried in the Wondra's backyard, that he knew things. And law enforcement went there and dug up that backyard, 3, 4. We even heard in testimony that there were areas that were dug 6 feet down. And one of the cadaver handlers got down into this hole, and it was bigger than she was, she said. And I would say from her sitting and everything, she was probably right around 5'5" to maybe 5'8". I mean, she was sitting, so I'm just like kind of estimating here. 5'5", 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in there. But she jumped down into this hole, and it was taller than she was. We heard testimony about cadaver dogs that hit in the backyard. And this was a year later. And let's not forget about the cadaver dogs that hit at Brandon Shirtliff's mom. And now we're learning through testimony that Michael Vaughan was in a duffel bag outside overnight on the side of Tina Mariel's house, exactly where cadaver dogs hit at Tina Mariel's house. Michael Joseph Vaughan was abducted July 27th of 2026. Or 2021. Excuse my brain. I am tired. July 27th, 2021, from his neighborhood by one or a couple of these 4 monsters: Stacey Wondra, Sarah Wondra, Adrian Lucien, Brandon Shirtliff. All 4 still suspects. Stacey Wondra is going to trial. Sarah Wondra will be arrested in October of 2026. She won't be a free woman. Adrian Lucien has knowledge of everything. And he talks about it when he's text messaging people, when he's on Instagram, when he's singing songs about people chasing him. And all of that can be used against him because it's his word. Because everything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. And the same goes with Brandon Shirtliff. Brandon Shurtleff made the decision to get inside that GMC truck after Adrian and Sarah kidnapped Michael, according to Stacey. He decided to provide his duffel bag. He said, let's take Michael to my house. He speaks with Sarah and Stacey and gets his alibi solid before talking to law enforcement. The alibi was, we all went to Cuna to tow my car back to Fruitland. Brandon Shurtleff is walking in the neighborhood between 6 and 6:30, right around the time that Michael comes up missing, there towards the end of 6:30. Says he was walking around in a neighborhood looking for the little kid that came up missing. No kid had been missing. Michael Vaughan wasn't reported missing until 7:21. What was he doing walking the neighborhood? Was he a lookout? I'm starting to really wonder, was he helping in the kidnapping, playing the lookout? Because also in testimony that we heard, although Stacey Wondra says that Adrian and Sarah kidnapped Michael and that Sarah was holding him when she came into the house, he also said at one point that they all three came back into the house at the same time, but he didn't know where Brandon had been. Brandon. You lied to me so much. At the time, I actually thought maybe I was your friend. And yeah, I was befriending you. You still lied to me, even though you said you trusted me. So much stuff came out about you, Brandon. I really hope you're thinking about doing the right thing. If Stacey knows where Michael is, your time is running out. Go talk to law enforcement and tell them where Michael is. Sarah Wondra is freaking out. Because all of this has been blamed on her for being the person holding Michael coming into the house. And now she knows that Stacey's going to trial. If she knows where Michael is, she may start talking here soon. Tick tock. Who can make it to Fruitland to talk to the police before Stacey says something, if he knows something? And Sarah, how do you know that Brandon's not going to get there before you? Or Brandon, how do you know that Sarah's not going to talk to law enforcement before you? Even if you take Stacey Wondra out of the equation, you don't know. You don't know who's going to flip or when, and time is running out for all of you. For all of you. Michael Joseph Vaughan will get justice. It's already being served. Stacey Wondra is being charged. He is going to trial. So, Adrian, Brandon, you can think you're free. You can think that you're going to be free for forever, but that's just not the case. Your time is running out. Because people know things. If anybody has a tip and you need to report it about any of these 4 suspects or any other information about any other people, please call law enforcement, because somebody out there was going to buy Michael Vaughan. Who is this? What do you know? Call in a tip at 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. Be Monkey's hero. Be the family's hero. They want Michael home. They want to lay him to rest. And they need that little bit of peace. And it's only a little bit of peace because they're still here living without their son, without their brother, without their grandson, without their nephew. The Vaughan family wants nothing but the truth. They want to know where their son is. And they're fighting. They're fighting to the end. Brandi made a pinky promise to Michael that she was going to find him. She is bound and determined to do just that. And after talking with Tyler, he also wants justice, fights for justice. Just because we don't see him out there talking doesn't mean that Tyler isn't doing anything. Tyler told me specifically that he lets Brandi get up before the cameras because she does a great job talking to the news reporters. He's a shy guy. He really is. Please, please, please just continue to pray for justice. If you have a tip, please call law enforcement 208-642-6006 or email findmichael@fruitland.org. I appreciate everybody coming in. I love you guys. I will see you soon. I am going to get some food and probably fall asleep in my chair for a little bit. I love you guys. Have a great night.